Even with all the chaos in the world, it's still quiet in the Colorado countryside. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to affect thousands of citizens in the state and millions more worldwide, everyday routines have been uprooted as families are advised to practice social distancing. With a statewide stay-at-home mandate in effect by order of Governor Polis, Colorado citizens have found themselves cooped up in quarantine. On their family farm, the Francis family adapts to a new way of life structured around online meetings and the digital world.
The current pandemic is something that I never really thought I would experience in my life. It's been quite an interesting journey, one that is something that you don't think you'd experience ever.
I think it's got us all confused and not knowing what to do. We keep looking to our leaders for guidance. We keep asking the medical professionals, what do we need to do? And so there's just a lot of confusion, which I think has made people very scared.
A challenge families face during these trying times is shopping for groceries, an experience that has changed drastically in just a few months.
Going to the store was very scary because you can't keep 6 feet away from people. You don't know who's touched what.
Shopping during this pandemic has been extremely interesting. I've only been out once with my mom to get some groceries, and we've been using the King Soopers online pickup. So she's been able to put in the order online, type in everything, put it in the cart, and then when we went there, we called and let them know that we were ready to pick up, and they brought their stuff out. Everybody was wearing masks. We always wear our masks. And we stayed in the car, and it's their policy that you can't exit your car, so we just popped the trunk and they put everything in.
Upon arrival at home, extra precautions are being taken to prevent the contraction of the COVID-19 virus.
You make sure when you get home that you don't touch anything until it's been wiped down with rubbing alcohol. All the produce has to be washed in soapy water to break down the fatty outer layer of the virus.
You're supposed to create some kind of airlock, meaning that whatever was out is not going directly into the house. We're using every protective measure that we can to make sure that surfaces are clean.
In addition to practicing safety measures regarding shopping, the Francis family continues to create a clean environment around the house by washing hands regularly and cleaning germ-heavy areas, such as mobile devices. Many Americans' jobs have been affected during this time of change. Some have found themselves without work, while others are having to convert to working from home.
The job that I have, honestly, hasn't been affected too much. I work with in the shipping industry, and so people are still sending packages and coming out and doing things that they really don't need to do. So from the standpoint of the work that I do, that hasn't been influenced. For me personally, though, it's affected me because obviously I've chosen to step out of that. So financially, it's made a difference because obviously there's no finances coming in. But I believe it's the right decision for the time, and need to take it seriously.
For me, it's affected my work completely. I'm a martial arts instructor at the Windsor Recreation Center, and this pandemic has caused the rec center to shut down since it's an area where a lot of people gather. So my program has been shut down. Right now, they're saying April 30th is when the rec center will open, but I'm not keeping my fingers too crossed. They're most likely going to extend that depending on the current situation. But as of now, April 30th will resume, but that's obviously subject to change. But since I can't be working with students in person, I've been doing a lot of work outside, making videos and uploading them to a YouTube channel, and working one-on-one over emails and phone calls and text with students to help keep them practicing so we don't lose all the progress that we've been making in class over these few months.
The pandemic has forced me to be at home working. I'm a school teacher, and so what has happened is students and us are not allowed to be in the building because that's too many people in one space. And so during the extended spring break for students, us teachers worked on converting everything that we needed to online platform.
Quarantine has allowed for moments of self-reflection and growth, but many Americans have been plagued with feelings of restlessness and boredom as well. In order to prevent this, the Francis family has stayed busy during their time at home.
I've been occupying my time with keeping up with news, watching YouTube videos that are entertaining, music, working on a website that I have. So there's been things that, plenty of things that I can do, as well as just trying to stay well.
In the quarantine, I have been able to occupy myself completely because number one, in order to make sure the food that we had survived long enough for us to last a month without going to the store, I've done a lot of baking and making of food items. Another thing that occupies my time is I actually have a little bit more freedom, being that I'm working from home, and so I can take some time to read just for relaxation and pleasure.
I've been pretty busy during quarantine. I've been making a lot of videos and working on my photography and just keeping myself occupied with learning new things online, and then schools has started back up recently, so I've got a bunch of projects and papers and things to be working on now that classes have shifted online.
Across the world, John Francis lives in Japan while teaching English to students in the city of Tottori.
At first I didn't think it was going to be a problem, but then it just started getting worse and worse. And at first I thought, oh, it's just like the flu, but then the more I read, I've seen that it can really affect people in a very negative way. My experience shopping has been the same. I live in Tottori, which is one of the least populated prefectures in Japan. And so there actually, as of today, are no reported cases of coronavirus here in my prefecture. But I mean, I'm sure there will eventually be. But right now, since there aren't any, obviously there's extra precautions like some plastic barriers and stuff set up, extra hand sanitizer out at various places. But I don't really see much of a difference going shopping. I think my government hasn't really done that great of a job at taking care of things. In Japan, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that our laws don't really let us do an exact lockdown. So even with a state of emergency, people are still going about their daily lives and are being forced to work. Here, the work culture is very strict. And so basically, it's really hard to even let people work from home. And the infrastructure really isn't there, except for maybe in big cities. And even in big cities, there's not really the infrastructure in a lot of companies to let people telecommute or work from home.
The Francis family continues to follow the guidelines put in place by health officials, and they urge people who are not following the mandates to do so.
I just wish that they could understand that it's not just about them, and they need to see beyond themselves to the fact that we are a country of people and we need to take care of each other and do what they can to make sure that everybody's safe.
I think we've lost the feeling of connectedness that maybe we once had at one point, with knowing our neighbors and people around us and having a concern for those people.
My advice to people who are not taking the pandemic seriously is to obviously take it very seriously. And I know it's easy to be ignorant, and I'll be the first one to admit that when the virus first reached the United States, I was one of those ignorant people because I'm young, and viruses only affect the older population and is deadly towards them, and so I wasn't really worried about it at all. I was very ignorant, but I quickly changed my attitude and my point of view when it actually reached here and it started spreading, because I started realizing that it wasn't just about me, it was about the people around me, and that I could endanger people if I did have that mindset. And so I obviously have made a change and have been taking it very seriously.
In the end, things have changed, routines have been altered, but life goes on.